Awesome. Well, we are live and we are here with Arielle Lowen. And as always, we have Tyler and John. So thanks for joining, Arielle. And how are things going?
Yeah, they're good. Thanks for having me. We actually are going through a heat wave right now in Texas. So things are going good because our AC is working. We're like, I think each day we hit almost like 110, 108 to 110. So it's pretty good, but pretty hot over here.
You're Midland, right?
Yeah, Midland, Texas. So right now it's like a dust storm outside. The wind's blowing and it's hot. So it's a vacation spot, that's for sure.
Did you go to high school in Midland?
I did.
You did. I just wonder about that rivalry with Permian.
Oh, yeah. So I would say there's a little bit of a rivalry, but I never got into the movie. So I can't say I was much for it, but the football people were.
Right.
The show is better than the movie.
That's what I've heard.
I live in Houston. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I'm feeling the heat just as much.
But you have the humidity too.
Yeah, but it's all good.
How far is Midland from Houston?
Not close.
You're talking like an 8-hour drive, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the other side of the state almost.
Yeah, she's West Texas. I'm East-ish Texas.
Got it. Yeah, it's completely different worlds. How are you training with the weather that way in your garage? I mean, that's got to be tough.
So you'll laugh at this. We actually, Dylan, my husband, installed a mini split AC unit in the garage, but I don't ever use it because, I mean, realistically, everything I need and everything for the games is all outdoors, essentially. So it's good to acclimate to the most extreme weather, but also like today, for example, I had to run and then come inside and lift some weights. So I can't just open the garage door up and down, up and down. So I'm just training for the worst case scenario that Madison is 100 degrees and I'll be ready for it.
You're probably hoping for it, right?
I absolutely love when it's hot because it sounds horrible, but like at Granite Games and at the games, the heat kills people, but in Texas, it's all we know. So it's the same. It's actually a little bit nicer because it's not the burning down heat. So I hope it's hot.
So, in your garage, I mean, it sounds like you're now doing all of your training out of your garage, I think, for the most part. Do you have all the equipment, or are you trying to modify and make do with what you do have?
I actually, this week, I'm going to the gym I used to go to because they have a taller rope, they have a pegboard, they have a yoke. I've just been putting it off for as long as possible because I love my garage gym, but I have basically everything I need. Like today I had to handstand walk, so I just handstand walked on the concrete a little bit and then walked in the gym, make sure no stickers are on the floor. So I'm doing what I need to, but at the end of the day, I love how peaceful it is in my gym. I pick the music, I can make a mess, mad, and I just get to be in my little good vibe bubble, and as long as I'm working hard in the gym, that's all that counts.
What music are you playing?
Actually, I usually have a Spotify playlist called High Energy Workout Mix, but today I switched it up and did the artist Pink. You know who that is?
Yeah.
So it was actually a pink workout mix, and it was a good time in there. My training partner did not make it today, so that's why it was all the girly music.
Who do you normally work out when you do have somebody join you?
I have a guy, his name's Joel, and he definitely does a more scaled version of what I do, but it's just someone there who shows up every day, has a great attitude, and is just like, okay, what are we doing? Let's do it. I'll do this rep scheme, you do that rep scheme. And really, it's just someone to suffer with.
Yeah. Misery loves company.
You're not lying. And sometimes you just need that one other person to be like, okay, start the clock. Let's just get going. It's going to suck, but just go.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up, Wad Zombie, that Ariel's the only person in the CrossFit space who does Instagram subscription service justice. I saw you on Clydesdale that you're putting out your programming, which you are programming for yourself, which is very rare these days amongst the games athletes. I guess first, why did you decide to program for yourself? and then kind of share what you're doing on Instagram.
Yeah, two parts to that. So the first one, last year leading up to the games, I kind of already had an idea of what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, and I just felt bad. The person who was giving me programming, I would be like, hey, you forgot the sandbag this week. That's a big weakness. Let's change this workout. Hey, you forgot chest to bars. And it almost got to where I felt like I was being really rude because I was like, hey, you need to change this. You need to change this. And I was like, you know what? I hate being rude. I'm just going to take over and just kind of go our separate ways. And I was like, I'll give it a month. And then a month went by and I loved it. Okay, I'll give it till Rogue. Okay, I'll give it till the Open. Okay, now I'll give it till quarterfinals. And it just, I've been enjoying it, and I haven't gotten to the point where I'm running out of things to do, where I'm repeating the same workout over and over again. So I've enjoyed it. And because it's my own and nobody does their own programming, I'm like, hey, if the world wants to see it, I have nothing to hide. The secret sauce is the work you put in. So like, you're more than welcome to see my workouts, but to improve, you got to do the work. You know, I did actually, though, I do my own cardio pieces. I did hire a strength coach, and he sends me like the tempo back squats, sled pulls, strict stuff like that. So I don't feel comfortable with strength stuff. So I did reach out to someone who's a lot smarter than me, but I know how to run. I know how to row. I know how to do handstand push-ups, all that. So it's just making fun workouts each week.
Are you focusing more on the weaknesses, or like, I guess there's always a debate about, do you try to really hit the home run and hammer on your strengths so you can maybe take a top 3 on an event, or do you try to shore up maybe those weaknesses that you need?
Yeah, good question. I learn more weaknesses as I compete. So I learned like 3 different weaknesses I want to work on from semifinals. But actually, when I sit down Sundays, I do my programming for the week. So I go week by week, and I'll have a list literally of every movement in CrossFit. And each week I try and program all those movements. So I'm still handstand walking, even though it's a strength. I might do handstand walk and then sandbag clean, because sandbag clean is a weakness. So I'll pair things together that, like, the handstand walk will get me tired, but now when I pick up the sandbag, how will my arms feel? Just like weaving different stimuluses together. Like today's stimulus was running a 400 meter, coming in and cycling a heavy barbell. Like, I know how to run, but I want to get better at cycling a heavy barbell. So just figuring out how to get tired and then get better.
Do you draw inspiration? Sorry, John, go ahead.
I love it.
Do you get discouraged when you find a new weakness, or do you get fired up?
I think it's good, because I've been doing CrossFit since 2012, and I still find that I'm not good at everything. So it's encouraging to say, like, okay, I've gotten better at this. Now here's another thing. So it's just constantly improving. I would get discouraged if my weakness kept being my weakness. Then that would get pretty discouraging. But I'd like to think they're getting a little bit better.
Do you draw inspiration from other people's programming, or do you check main site every day? Do you do things like that? I've always thought that, like, programming for yourself is the most daunting task. That's why I have a coach, because it scares the shit out of me. So I always wonder, like, you're a bit of an anomaly now.
Right.
You just wanted to do CrossFit and have fun with it, and now you've gone to the games one time after another, and you program for yourself. So I just wonder where all that comes from.
I know. It's like, okay, I got a little itch, and now it's getting bigger, and now I'm like, I want top 10 at the games, and I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I try and stay away from what other people are doing. Like, I've had a few training camps reach out to me and say, hey, we know you're not with anybody. Come join our camp. And I'm just like, with all due respect, why would I want to be doing the programming my competitors are doing? I'd rather do what's been working for me. And I like to think I put a lot of thought into time domains, and what works really well for me are like on the clock stuff. So like every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. So it's just learning how to put more movements in there, but I really enjoy it. It's hard to describe, but I have like a crazy person's mind when it comes to programming, but it works for me. But the open and quarterfinals were actually pretty scary, because I had been doing just my own programming, and I had been just following my stuff and working out alone in the gym. I didn't have any eyes on me. So the open was a big test of, okay, how is this working? Do you know what you're doing, or are you ignorant and think you're good at this? And it was a nice surprise. I didn't have to be too hard on myself.
Turns out I'm not that bad.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, we're good. I can keep doing this.
As you have this next 6 weeks, are you trying to practice new skills? It feels like everybody on Instagram right now is doing the freestanding handstand push-ups. Like, it just seems like post after post. Are you trying new things, or are you just going to let yourself try to adapt and not try to predict or worry about what Boz might throw at you?
I love the crazy new stuff that Boz throws out. I'm just practicing the things that I feel like personally will show up. Double under crossovers. We haven't seen those yet, but we did do a small version of them. What else? Like a little bit higher wall balls. But as far as freestanding strict handstand push-up, not too much, because like my first role is a wife and a mom, and freestanding handstand push-up just makes me nervous. I'm going to come down wrong on my neck, and I need my neck to survive. So the only things I need to practice that is on my list are a press to handstand and strict bar muscle up, strict ring muscle up, just in case they touch on those. But I'll say this. The strength coach I hired watched my footage and found out like what specific muscles were weak based on what the footage showed. So he's been helping me target stuff. If it does come up, hey, these muscles are a little bit stronger, you should be fine.
This past weekend, the French Open had backwards handstand walks. So you walked where you were facing.
No,
I think that's so stupid. I apologize if you love backwards handstand walk, but I mean, just go here to there.
It's dumb.
It's so stupid. Don't tell me how to do something. That defeats CrossFit. People who can innovate.
Right. I do have the gymnastics. I was a gymnast for many years. So stuff like that, I just have in my pocket. Like if I need it, I can do that already. But I would never practice that, like Johnny said, unless they came up.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say is the rope muscle ups. I've seen those 6 times this week.
I feel like those probably aren't that bad. I've never tried one. So I'm willing to bet I could just do it on the first shot.
Yeah. And my thought goes to, okay, what did Rogue have this year? They had bar muscle ups, but on a log. Will they copy what Rogue did? In my opinion, not
There's
really.
no way the rope is worse than the log. That had to
exactly.
be terrible.
Way worse. Yeah.
It was horrible. But I loved it because 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody practice bar muscle up, and it's like, how do you adapt in the moment on the floor? And I love that type of chaos because you can just rely on you either have it or you don't, and it's that simple.
Yeah. Speaking of the off-season competitions, what do you prefer more? Do you like the Rogues and Wadapaloozas, or do you really like the intensity competition of the games?
I feel like the games is the backbone of all of those. Like I know personally, if I don't do well at the games, I won't get invited to Rogue. Rogue is always fun, but I like the games is what's important. I'm eating better, sleeping better. Yeah, it's what everybody knows.
Yeah. And then you entered into this year, like, you make it 21, you come back and show that you're the real deal in 22. This year, most people had you as a favorite or at least podium in semifinals. Did you feel any different pressure coming into this year to kind of prove yourself or show that you are one of the favorites in the North America West semifinal?
I wouldn't say so. There might have been pressure from, obviously the leaderboard showed I went into semifinals as number 1, and I would have loved to be number 1, but that weekend was the most peaceful weekend I've ever had. And I think it's because after day 1, I was already in a qualifying position. And from there, it was like, okay, let's just make it to the games. If it's this easy, as bad as that sounds, awesome. Let's just ride it through the weekend. And I did go into semifinals a little bit injured. So it was really just about be smart, get through semis, and then heal up, go to the games.
It's probably nice that you're competing with friends too. If it's between you and Alex, you're probably both just having a ball.
Exactly. And Alex is one of those I'm like, okay, you're great, get first place. You need a good little pat on the back. You've been doing good.
What is
That
your
was
demeanor?
kind of backhanded.
No, I didn't mean that backhanded, but she does believe in herself. So if that helps her believe in herself, I love it.
That's what I thought. I thought it was rather motherly of you to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your demeanor when you're at a competition in between events? Are you talking with the other athletes? Do you kind of keep to yourself? And has that changed over the last couple of years?
No, my husband, like there'll be times we go out to dinner and he'll just talk to everyone and anyone. So backstage we're talking probably a little bit too much when people are probably like, stop talking to us. But backstage, what helps me to be relaxed is just forgetting about CrossFit. And for me, that's talking to people, conversating, laughing, making jokes. So I almost probably am a little bit too much relaxed backstage, but it helps me because if I take this too seriously, it puts way too much pressure on myself when it's like, okay, at the end of the weekend, we're still going home to the same house, the same friends, the same everything. Have fun, meet some famous, cool people backstage, and then you've got a job to do on the floor.
So when Savon does behind the scenes this year, go follow Ariel because she's going to be the Josh Bridges of the females.
Oh, we have so many funny stories from backstage. But yeah, is he going to be backstage? Is that confirmed?
We're trying to put it into the ether. So
yeah.
Right now,
backstage.
hard no. We're trying to make
hard no.
I'll put it out there too. I'll see him backstage.
I think everybody wants to see that, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I agree. It's just the real footage. And
I heard on Clydesdale, you were talking about, possibility of building a bigger gym, and you thought this, it'd be a cool idea to have somewhat like a mayhem thing where like people can come in and train with you. But you also like training separately. How do those two mix and mesh?
I think there's a time and a season for it. Right now, very much so is a focused season. So I don't allow many people in the gym, and it's me and my reliable training partner. But like training for Rogue or training for Wadapalooza, it'd be fun to have more people there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be 110 degrees at that time either.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And I mean, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We'll have a cold plunge, a sauna, hopefully Rogue equipment. I'm going to put that out there, like, the good stuff.
So we're putting out Savon. We'll help put out, get Ariel some Rogue equipment for her future gym.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Ariel. Good luck with the rest of your training. Stay healthy and get that top 10 at the games.
Thanks for having me on. You guys have a good night.
Thank you,
Ariel.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
everybody go buy Ariel's card from Wad Zombie. Right now. That was the first card I ever made. I'm rather proud of that one. I still think it's the best one. So
does she have one?
Buy it. Yeah, dude. Hold on, I'll pull it
up. Yeah. So last week we brought up the Spin Top 25 Media poll. Here, let's bring this up real quick. There it is. Ariel Lowen's trading card. First one.
It is nice.
I love that one so much. Anyway,
she's almost got like a Super Saiyan glow around her.
Any Dragon Ball Z nerds out there.
So we did the media poll. I think that was well received. I think there's we'll be putting it out there in July, mid-July. We're doing an update for the media, adding some extra people into that mix. But this past week, the patrons, whatever you want to say, they voted, submitted their votes, and we have a guest on the show. Got Mitch here from, was it CrossFit Magni?
Yes. Yeah, Magni.
So, Mitch, thanks for joining. How long have you been doing CrossFit?
Yeah, what do you know?
Yeah. What do I know? I've been doing it since 2011. I own a CrossFit gym now. I've owned that for 6 years. So
where is it?
Or two.
Where is it?
In Boise, Idaho.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
What is the CrossFit atmosphere up there in Idaho?
They're Justin Medeiros fans.
Yeah. There's Justin Medeiros, and then there's like everybody else, which is like nowhere near that. So it's very much behind the times, I would say, as far as the pool to select from. But they did have Verdant CrossFit sent a team to semifinals, and I think they were 1 point out of qualifying. And I know
okay.
a couple of the guys on that team.
Waiting on somebody to get popped then, huh?
That's what I texted my friend afterwards. Like, don't worry, keep training.
Unfortunately, that's probably the truth. Well, we do have the results. They were published about 11 minutes ago. The fan poll is out, and I can tell that you are a Justin Medeiros fan there, Mitch.
I think due to proximity, I have to bias. Yeah, I feel like
I don't think
I
it's
met
biased. That's the majority.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, the thing is I think that first place is, I think it's under contention. I don't think it's like when Matt Fraser ruled, you know? So I know Justin's a fighter. We've seen it before, so it makes sense. I feel like it's not like a risky pick by any means. But yeah, I think due to the fact that like he's been in my gym, I've met him a few times, like I have to, save face in some sense.
Well, you were not alone. We ended up having 12 people vote in the first one, and Justin Medeiros took first place again.
Look how close they are, though. Tyler, this means you're the only person in the whole world that has picked
the whole world. Even Hopper doesn't even think he can do it.
We did get Roman onto the podium for the fan vote. Where did you sit, Mitch? What was your top three?
My top three, I have Justin, Jeff Adler, and Patrick Fellner.
Adler.
Three.
What it was interesting. We looked at the media poll. Nobody had Adler actually winning it, but we had a lot of them had him on the podium. Do you think he has a chance to beat Justin?
Adler seems very consistent to me, and we've seen him beat Patrick Fellner in semifinals, like we're a semifinals type event multiple times now. And he's only gotten better every season, so it feels like there's some runway there. But then you go to like Patrick Fellner's performance at semifinals was so dominant. I just feel like every time he's at the games, there's some sort of shutdown there where it just never actually comes to fruition for him. So I picked Adler over him.
Yeah, you had Roman in fifth, Dallin in sixth. It's about where I think a lot of people had, or a couple of people had Roman. I think I may have been in that same boat. What have you seen this year that makes you put Roman off the podium?
Okay, yeah. So last year I actually had him in second, and he took second. So I was very proud of that pick because when I did our little fantasy league at the gym, I was the only one who had him, and it got me a lot of points. So,
did everybody else have him lower?
Here's what. Yeah. Nobody even really knew him because they're just, the average Joe CrossFitter for the most part.
You're welcome, because I was screaming Roman's name all year.
It's probably true. And I mean, I saw his performance on any of those machines is like incredible. The margin of victories on him is impressive. And anyway, what made me put him in fifth this year, I think, if I'm being honest and totally from an outsider perspective, like I feel like the pressure is less existent now for him. So here, I'll try to move my mic around. But so before, it felt like there was so much on the line and so much riding on it that if he failed, he lets his family down. The shot at coming to the United States is toast. Like, there's so many things that fall apart if he shoots his shot and misses. Whereas now he's here, there's a little more comfort behind that. It's not like if he takes fifth, he leaves. I think.
So you don't think it's the being with Mayhem versus Brute?
He wasn't with Brute.
Well, he was with Nick Fowler, but
which was Brute at the time. But yes,
it's
kind of muddy. But
dude, I am very partial to Brute. I think they're probably the best in the game when it comes to individuals, or at least in the top with hard work pays off probably. But I do think it has something to do with that too. Just again, he's kind of following that like YouTube dream, right? Where he was like, he even said it, right? He was so excited to go train with Rich. And yeah, it just feels like it puts you in a comfort zone to some degree, because you're kind of living a fantasy instead of putting your back against the wall and having to climb your way out of that.
And I think he's going to be upset because I don't think training with Rich is all it's kicked up to be. Like, he's not really training with Rich. Rich is biking. Rich don't care about him.
It's different now.
Rich has got his own things. He built his empire, and he's, in the sunset. Roman's training with Logan Viewing. He didn't move to America to train with Logan Viewing. Like, it's just, I don't think it's going to be what it's kicked up to be.
Yeah, I could agree.
How about the fans? I think Chandler Smith up to 15th. They must have drunk some of the spin Kool-Aid on that one, at least from semifinals. Where did you have Chandler on here?
Me or Mitch?
Mitch. Oh, he had him 15th too, right
15th,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you seen anything that makes you put him up there that high? I mean, I had him up there high in the semifinals, but I got a little concerned after watching him.
I don't know. Sometimes he's just phenomenal, and sometimes it's just so inconsistent with him. I feel like anything from after like 8th place, you're kind of taking gambles. Like it's hard to. Yeah, I don't know. He did so well in a couple events. I think he did look good at semifinals for the most part, but there's the people above him are so good and consistent.
Yeah. As you were doing this, was there anybody that you really struggled with, like where to rank them? Like you wanted to rank them higher, but you just couldn't as you were watching that?
I mean, I love James Sprague. I love his attitude. I love the vibe. I love the story. I think he's fun, and engaging with the crowd.
Great
and stuff.
guy, too.
I would love to see him be way higher. I think it's unlikely. So it was hard. I mean, even 23, I thought was a little gracious, just given the lack of experience. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with the mic, but it usually works fairly
Hey, no,
well.
It's not that bad.
Hey,
You're fine.
I've had more mic issues than anybody else, so you're fine.
You don't have a dog barking on it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so it's less than a dog barking. That's good. Was that a slate at John?
No.
No, never.
Whose dogs are always barking?
It's my dogs. My dogs are always barking. I have two corgis, and they are rambunctious.
You know who here's a pick I picked just for the story, was Jake Douglas.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you have him in?
We like Jake.
17th.
Wow.
Do I not have him on here? I mean,
I don't think you have.
I don't think I captured him. I don't know what I did with it. Let me have to go double check that and see why he didn't show up. But
Man, that's high. Why so high? Like if you would have put him in the top 25, I like Jake. Sorry, I'm about to say this, but I don't see him being in the top 25.
I think he sees like a gi like performance from him. Maybe not to Malheiros' peak, like a 7th, but similar qualities.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be events that are super in his favor, but I also think that he's spending a decent amount of time with Matt Fraser in that camp, and everything I see from Matt Fraser is so meticulous that I can't expect much less of that. But that being said, I mean, it's part of the fun in doing these picks is like taking some of those gambles and, dark horse, I guess you could say, and seeing what happens, seeing how it shakes out.
He'd definitely be the rookie of the year if he finishes in the top 20, which would be awesome to watch. If there's a strength event, which preview we'll be talking about the top 5 of our favorite strength events of all time coming up in a minute, but he's going to take first, second, third, most likely in one of those types of events. So he's going to get some good points. You just never know if there's a couple of them. So he could surprise some people and get some good points on there. It's just about minimizing. I'm a little worried about a swim, as you said last week. That's not his strong suit. So
yeah, he's dense. He's dense to be swimming.
Oh man, look at this, Adam. Looking at these, I do think the fan poll is gonna be more accurate than the analyst one. It will be interesting to see the results.
I think that depends on the analyst, but you go ahead.
John's feeling confident. On the women's leaderboard, Laura Horvath was dominant. 11 first place votes. Annie was the only other one to gain a first place vote. Annie switched with Danielle, so it's the same podium, but Annie leapfrogged Danielle in the fan poll. And Gabby moved up one. Katrin moved up into the top 10. The fans don't like Ariel, though, so they put her down to 11th.
I like the fan vote here. I mean, other than Danielle Brandon still being too dang high, everything else in this I could see happening. Like I think the fan vote's really good in this one.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ariel finished 11th last year. I don't think it's outside of it. It's
It's
not
not
crazy.
a slight.
No, it's not
No.
a slight.
Yeah, Emma Lawson's low.
I mean, that's the same if you say Alexis and Ariel finished 10th, 11th. No, Emma got the same spot. It's really Gabby that makes the big
She's
jump.
17 getting 6 though. What'd Mal do the second year? Like these young girls that do amazing, it's different. Those other girls been in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Bethany Flores is pretty high. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I love talking about Bethany Flores. She's one of my favorites. No, Emma Carey, I almost put in first. It was real. I'm not a huge fan of Laura Horvath until she said what she said at the end of her last event. And I think that's all credit to training with Ben Smith, who's got her wrapped into like what it is really about, CrossFit as a whole. So she kind of earned some favor with me voting her. Not that that really matters, but she also, it's hard to vote against her when she's clearly made a run at it and been really close several times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, relative to who was there.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, she was third. Top two are gone. I mean,
I feel like Emma Carey is that girl that everybody wants to see do amazing, but you just can't say she's going to until she does.
There's a little Bethany Flores in that pick. Just she's been injured recently. Yeah. The volume of the games is different. She's younger. You hope it holds together better, but it's a risk. Like she could get injured.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what she said. She basically took it event by event. So we'll see how the games does in that. Rookie for the women, I guess Olivia Kerstetter would be right.
I think, yeah.
Based on this,
nobody is. We didn't have any like 4 standout rookies like we've had the past couple of years. And Olivia's not Mal. Olivia's not Emma Lawson. So I almost think she gets it just by being there because I don't think there's anybody else.
Well, here's a bold pick. Elise, Emma Carey will make top 10, but not top 5.
I mean, that's within the realm of possibility. I don't think that's bold. I think Emma Carey can have a whole bunch of different finishes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the women's side, I thought it was interesting. All the other votes, there are only 2 women who did not get 1 vote.
Who's that?
It was Alexia Williams she finished second in South America, and then Shahad Boudebs finished second in Asia.
Like that. Those 2 women, nobody cared about them.
Nobody voted for them.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. So
it was just the reason I pointed out is like so many women got a vote, right? Like,
right
in the media one, it was, I think there may have been like 5, 6, 7 others that kind of got a vote at some point through it, with the same number of people voting. I mean, the women's choices were much greater and wider. So it's kind of interesting to see how that panned out. Man, Olivia will make the top 10. Now that is a bold pick.
That is very bold.
Dope,
listen, Elise, we've been getting along lately, but that's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Alyssa, John, you're an analyst. You don't have to care about their feelings.
That's true. Hey, but listen, anybody that I talk trash about, Brian will have them on next week. He's done it
That's
like
right.
4 weeks straight. This is the first week I haven't trashed Ariel, and then Ariel happened to be on the show next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm listening and I'm trying to make you feel uncomfortable. So
He tried to get Justin on. Justin won't do it.
that's right. Yeah, I did. He's training right now, so that makes it
That's
tough.
true,
But
yeah.
maybe Mitch has an inside connection. We can get him to pull some strings for us.
I could text him, but I'm probably not going to.
Awesome. Well,
Mitch,
Mitch,
do you have any bold predictions, like a dark horse pick? You said your podium, but who's going to do better than who do you think is going to do better than everybody else thinks? Obviously, for Tyler, it's Jason, but any
Then
dark
Obviously,
horse
for
prediction?
reality, it's
Dark horse
Jason.
prediction.
For reality, it's Jason. I would like to see Jason do well. I like the HWPO.
It has to be Jake. I mean, that's a bold pick. I don't
Well, maybe
hate
he's
it.
got
Jake was
something
big.
else.
I think Jake's the only big one. I mean,
Okay.
Where's
Jake
Katrin at for
Douglas.
you?
she's
12.
She's 12th, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I think
Still
is
not
good
bad.
for not making it last year. I think
Yeah.
that's still pretty
Yeah.
high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but she looked real good at semifinals, and she's in kind of a new situation again, and I think it seems to be going well.
So I posted this on Twitter this morning. Not saying it's going to happen, but the last time Katrin did not qualify for the games, the following year she ended up winning. So
Well,
She
okay.
just needs a
that
year off.
was an irrelevant thing to say. It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have
The
all
trend continues.
35 athletes drop out for that to be true again.
come on now.
I mean, he's not that.
Okay, where do people have Christine Kohlenbrander on the fan poll?
The fan
Uh,
poll, she's
15.
really
They have a
high.
15.
She's
I don't think
15.
that's
Yeah.
high.
Oh, okay. So I thought she was somewhat high in 17th on mine, just relative to the media poll, but
Media poll's got her in 20th.
Yeah.
Man,
She's
she's
so strong.
weird because I want to think that she's a lot better than she has performed because she said she was hurt last year and she was a legless rope climb away from being first in her semifinal the year previous. So, like, I could see her really surprising people in the games, but I mean, I could also see her, not doing good. She's one of them ones that
She's-
I need more information.
It's programming dependent for her, and now I'm wondering, like, is her back really healed up? And then, like, but it's been her best year competitively, so it's
Mhm.
like, who are we to say that she doesn't do better than 20th? Yeah, I think she does definitely better than last year, but 15th is high. I'm not saying it's not possible. Maybe we'll see that.
Yeah. Well, Mitch,
maybe one other dark horse was
Oh.
Paige Powers. I have her at like 9th,
Oh, yeah.
which is relatively high compared to
That-
everybody else.
That would be quite the leap. That would probably be most improved looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think she will be really improved. It's a hard field, so it's a little bit
does
of a gamble. I
Katrin
think.
count as most improved for not making it to
Oh.
12?
I don't think they
Yeah.
count that.
She also
but-
fell from first, so I don't know.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
John, I wonder how you feel about Paige. Like, I think she's definitely getting better, but she doesn't seem to have like all 6 cylinders firing yet. Like, she's still off like 1 or 2 cylinders from the top girls.
Yeah, no,
I think
go ahead.
I think people really hype on her, and I get the hype. Like, she's a great looking athlete. Like, she moves great. I think she's got a lot of great attributes, but I just am not getting top 10 feels from her yet.
Yeah, I think everybody wants her to do really well, and I feel like everybody thinks she's going to make this big jump. But it's hard for me. I'm not going to rank her that high until I actually see her do it. It's not like an Emma Carey situation. I really just don't think she's fit enough yet to make that jump. And nothing has shown me that she's, made this fitness leap. I haven't seen an event where I'm like, gosh, she would beat everybody in that event. Like, she got what in the semifinal? 6th?
What did I have her? Let's see.
Like no, in
Sixth.
the semifinals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the East.
Yeah, sixth in North
she got
America East.
sixth in the East. So 5 women, and I know the East is like a powerhouse, but 5 women were ahead. Like she was 6 of 6 of the top 6 women, right? Like because we know there's a tier drop off after that
Yep.
for the East.
Right. Yeah.
And she's just like, yeah, I agree with George in the comments. I just think she's a little bit overhyped. Not her fault. She's not the one doing it. But until I see it happen, even in one event where she just murders everybody, and I'm not talking about Wadapalooza, Brian. I'm talking about the games. I won't be ranking her that high. I feel the same about Alex Kazan. People think Alex Kazan's going to like make this huge leap, but I don't. She's got home run hitting ability, but I just don't think her fitness.
Right. I
is
feel the same
there
way
yet.
about Kazan. I feel the same way. I'm
surprised to hear
both
Paige
of
Powers
them,
is overrated, to be honest.
You think you're surprised I think Paige is overrated?
I'm surprised everybody does. I don't really feel like I don't know. She wasn't
Not
really on my
overrated,
radar as like this
overhyped.
crazy
Overhyped.
great person.
Overhyped.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I don't see the media as much around her in that. Maybe it is because of coming off of the Wadapalooza thing, but I just see her as a young athlete who's really gained a stride quickly, and that means she could have that Jason Hopper leapfrog potential where it's like,
Right.
Okay,
just
that's fair. I don't
quickly
see the leapfrog
climbing the ranks,
potential.
Right. No one's like
I
Jason.
mean, I
I'm
wouldn't
sorry.
put it past her to have steady improvement. Like she was 20 something last year, and then she's going to be 16th, and then she'll be 10th, and then she'll be 8th, and then she'll be 6th. I don't put it past her to have that development, but I don't see a Hopper like jump where it's like, oh, this girl is in the top tier. You see what I'm saying? Like just from not top tier to now she's in there. You know,
I think her career is going to be long, and like we're going to see over the next couple of years, she'll slowly, cut away between her and maybe top 5. But yeah, I think it takes longer for women to mature at the top end. I think men can get there and then they get stuck for a while, but women they can slowly claw off some of the distance. It just takes longer. That's how I feel.
Improvement, chipping away at like the
Yeah.
fitness gap.
Yeah.
I might agree with that. Like they hit their peak a little bit later.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this
I'm
comment
on
from
team
Melissa that Gazan doesn't have the confidence?
Well, Ariel just told us that was the case, so that's what I think.
It's weird. I get mixed vibes from her. Sometimes I feel like she's uber confident and she has a strut about her, and then other times I feel what you're saying, where it's like maybe she does need a little bit of like she walks a little timid. Strut it, Alex.
You're starting to see this new kind of category of athlete where it's like they're riding until they're burnt out, right? Mentally speaking. Then you have these other camps where they're like, I'm not going to take it that seriously. I'm having fun with this. And then you have the people who don't burn out, and those are always the ones on top. And I don't see Alex Gazan or Arielle Lowen treating this like that. They're the having fun, which is fine if that's what they want to do. But I think the winners don't approach it like that.
I agree.
Take. Yeah. Kenneth, man, you're late. Just a bunch of dude. Where's Ariel? You have to go back. We don't keep him here for an hour.
Does this every day, every episode? He's like, wait, what's going on?
We get him in and out, and we cover on other different things. So go back, start over. I'll be clipping it. It'll be a separate episode as well. So, Mitch, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining the Patreon. We'll see you next.
Thanks for having me on.
Next
thank
month.
you, Mitch.
We'll
Thanks,
be
Mitch.
updating and see how you adjust those picks.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you.
See you.
John, what is this sign behind you?
Yeah.
Is this new?
Yeah.
This is the JY Barbell Club. So
Are you trying to hype your own stuff here?
Absolutely.
You trying to sell something?
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
It does.
It just showed up randomly at my house. Me and my wife didn't order it. And I was like, I had no idea what it was. It was from Virginia. Said my name on it. Leslie thought it was a bomb. It was really, really hard because it was.
You all get those often?
It was taped so much, and it turns out my dad just made it and he sent it. Yeah. So I coach people in weightlifting. If you want to get strong, I coach people to get strong. It's the only thing I'm good at. I will not coach you in running because I'm not good at that. but I am good at getting strong. So yeah, that's my advertisement piece. Hit me up on Instagram, and yeah,
The Vanilla Gorilla, John Young.
JY Barbell Club. Come get it.
What have you been working on in the gym? I saw you doing handstand push-ups today.
Not
You had some.
Listen, my day is basically just 80% of the day is running, rowing, biking, and skiing in some form of burpees. And then occasionally I'll get a little gymnastics in there.
Once a month, Coach L will let you lift the barbell.
Yeah, and then like, probably once a week we have it'll be a hard weightlifting day.
Yeah.
And then I'll usually post that on my story because people don't want to see me running, rowing, and skiing. Like it's not. Yeah.
It's that time of year too, though, because it's like I'm doing the same thing. It's just intervals. I'm happy because Mia finally added some like CrossFit-y stuff back in, but it was like there for a while. It was like my entire morning was just sitting on a bike or a rower.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm decent at all the gymnastics, and especially under fatigue, I'm pretty good at gymnastics. It's just capacity. It's like my breathing will get cut before anything else. And yeah, that's all I'm doing. Just a bunch of that. But the Tour de France starts in July. I'm excited. Hold on. Wait, I don't know if you can see this, but I got my bike set up right here. We're ready to rock, man. It's hooked up on this little machine right there.
So you'll be riding with the guys in France?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I mean, I'll be on the virtual mountains, but it will be the same mountains, and I'll be much slower than them, but we're gonna get in good shape. It's gonna be really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. You're gonna get dropped early.
Oh, I mean, honestly, if you're biking with them, I don't even think I can make it to the first mountain as fast as they go. It's ridiculous what they do. But
how does that work? It just ties into it, and you kind of follow along how the pack's going.
There's a thing called Zwift, ZWIFT, and it's basically so how Orange Theory is to CrossFit. Like it's kind of like a downplay of CrossFit, right? Like it's for people who don't want to work hard but think they're working hard. That's what Peloton is to Zwift. Everybody in Europe, all real cyclists, this is their indoor trainer. This is what they do indoors. Okay. But America just knows about Peloton because it's catchy and they, I don't know, good marketing. But
I like this. So it has all the programming of the hills and stuff in it.
So what it does is like you pick a course, okay? A course in Zwift, it's got this virtual world and you're in the world. Yeah, like this. And then you'll start going up a mountain and that machine puts in the gradient of what that mountain will feel. And you put your body weight in on your avatar. So it shows you what 200 pounds feels like on this mountain. And what's funny
and it says, nope, get off.
Yeah, what's funny,
you're too big.
Me and my Leslie, I don't know if you've ever seen my wife, Brian, but she's very small. She's like 115 pounds, maybe 120 if it's raining. But we went up Alpe d'Huez, which is a 1-for-1 of Alpe d'Huez. You're not gonna know what that means, but it's one of the hardest mountains in France. And she destroyed me on this because my 200-pound body can't get up this mountain as fast as her little body, even though I'm much fitter. It doesn't matter.
Did you get off and did you push the bike up the hill?
No, I biked the whole time. It was just a very slow cadence. All right, listeners. You need to calm down. Anyway, if you're serious about cycling, but like you want to do indoor stuff, there's nothing better than this. It is a little bit expensive, the machine to hook up your bike to, and it's for road biking. It's not a mountain biking thing, but yeah, when the Tour de France comes on,
really cool.
I just put like I'll bring a desk in here, and I'll put I'll get live streaming on my computer. And then when they go up, and I'll try to time the last 30 kilometers to whatever a course that I'm doing. And then I'm biking with them. I'm hurting with them. And it just makes me go faster.
That's cool.
So,
I like that.
You just connect your bike. You just take the back wheel off and hook it up.
And then you connect it, and then I'll do, and it's something really, really easy. Like sometimes I'll just do it at lunch. I'll just pick an easy route, and I'll bike for 30 minutes. So I'll have my morning session, I'll eat, and then I'll do 30 minutes on this, and then I'll eat again, and then I'll go do my afternoon session, and then I'll come back and I'll eat again, and then I'll go to sleep, and then I wake up and then I do it all over again.
So you ain't working all day. You just work out all day.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like my day's really busy as far as like managing things. On top of that, I got 2 freaking lions who won't shut up ever.
Awesome. Well,
Sorry,
Swift.
I
didn't know we were going to go on that tangent, but that's kind of interesting.
Free sponsor.
It is really cool. I didn't know that existed. I could get into that. Because it's like knowing you're on the same course as some of these, and then like being on a real bike, not a Peloton bike. I like that it's like a real one.
Yeah.
And listen, you'll nerd out on it. Like once you start like learning, okay, I can hold 300 watts for 40 minutes. That makes my FTP like 290. Like you'll nerd out on that type of stuff. And
you can hold 300 for 40 minutes.
True. Yeah. What?
You can hold 300 for 40 minutes?
No, I can't. I can like maybe 20 minutes. But okay,
I was like, dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, no. Now, but you'd be surprised. Like, so I can hold maybe 260, 270 for 40 minutes. It doesn't drop off that hard. But you'll start nerding out on that type of stuff.
Sure.
And be like, okay, a 7% gradient, I'm okay for about 26 minutes. It goes to 8%, I'm okay for 5 minutes. Like it'll click, right? Like,
right.
And then you improve that way though. You know what I mean? Like you get better so fast.
Yeah.
That's why any biking event, I know y'all weren't at Crash, but when there was a biking event, like
was there really?
There was a bike erg involved in one of the events.
Oh, okay.
And I was so much better than everybody there on the bike, and I felt very comfortable on a bike erg. Like I know what damper and all that to adjust it to, but I'm not good at cardio. Like y'all know that. But like on the bike, man, it was just like I had this advantage nobody else had.
Just from hours of being on the Zwift.
Just from freaking working this thing, man.
Very cool.
Unfortunately, they don't have a runner that does the same thing.
Yeah.
So our top 5 for the week is the strength events. Our top 5 strength events ever programmed at the CrossFit Games. I went through all.
You did a good job.
All 15 years of going through a strength event and kind of recapping what happened, linked to all of the YouTube videos out there. So if you are interested in watching and kind of going back and seeing what we're talking about, or just, curious to know what happened in 2009 or something like that, it's all there. So it took forever to kind of go through and capture all of that, but we are going to go through our top 10, which or top 5.
Full screen it, Brian. Thank you.
What's that?
Goodness.
Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry. And so we looked at our top 5 strength events at the games. Surprisingly, Tyler followed the rules this time. So there are no regional or semifinal events in here. Choose from. It wasn't an off-season competition. So
I thought about it so hard. What was it?
I almost picked one rep max thruster.
It was the snatch with Sam Dancer. I was like, maybe I should just throw that in there just to piss John off.
Well, right after I did all this, of course, YouTube starts throwing up all these different events, and I see the 1 rep max snatch from the Invitational where Froning like crushed it.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
That'd been a good one that Tyler could have thrown in there to mix it.
I would have done just strength events, period. Like not like all any competition, every CrossFit competition.
Yeah. But it was interesting to look at this because I had never really tallied what's been used, like how often these things have been done. And so like snatch was 6, a clean was 6 times. I think the clean and jerk's been 3. And then the deadlifts by itself was only 2, but then you add in the total and it goes up to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the COVID games year, they were really heavy handed with strength that year. I was like, wow, that was a bold move.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. It had me start thinking about, I mean, the sandbag was obviously a completely different thing that we had ever seen before. It starts making you think like, how do we start changing this up? It's been 15 years and you've seen all the speed ladders. You've seen all of these kind of iterations that's kind of grown on it. I don't want to say it's played out, but we've seen it before. So
What if we had a pig ladder?
That'd be cool.
that would
And
be,
then and like you just had 5 pigs and they got heavier and heavier, and then at the very last heat, I mean, it was an ungodly amount of pig weight.
Be hard to, yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's only been, I guess, technically 2 events that didn't have a barbell: the chest to bar, the max chest to bar that used kettlebells, and the sandbag. So there are a lot of similar answers on this, but we'll go through.
Yeah, the list wasn't very big.
No,
Yeah, I mean there were some, but
I'm gonna like the reasons why we picked
Sure.
what we picked. Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, I think those will definitely be different. So number 5,
That's so
the
great.
1 rep max. All of us.
That's so funny.
So yeah, all of us picked the 1 rep max overhead squat. John, I'll start with you. What made you pick this one?
Well, there was a lot of hype for this one going into it. If you were around 2014, I think Hackenbrook called he was just going to do 400 before the game started. Like we knew about this event before the game started, and there was just a lot of hype over it. And the fact that Fraser and Froning tied, that's kind of cool. Everybody went for 400 and nobody was close. If one person would have just said, "Hey, I'll go 480," and then they would have won easily. But nobody did. I think Fraser was probably the closest to 400. I don't think Froning even jerked it up there. Maybe he jerked it up there and then wavered.
Yeah, he got
Hackenberg
wobbly.
wasn't close either. But there was just a lot of fun things. This one was more fun than a typical go down the line, everybody max out event.
I love. Go ahead, Spin.
I liked it definitely for the reason of all these guys were trying to go for 400, and that was exciting outside of just the placement of everybody. But the overhead squat, it's a slower lift, and it builds that anticipation of, can you get it overhead, especially when it gets the heaviest, and then just that descent is slower, and then when they get it right, like you see that it's like coming out of a snatch, same thing, but that descent gives you more build up to it. They kind of it created a lot more anticipation, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I love the thing that I loved about it. I always imagine being these athletes, and from football, I love being under the lights, like on Friday night, it's dark, and that they had that sort of mystique that year. And then the glances between Hackenbrook and Froning and Fraser, it was you don't really get that much anymore. And that one was unique in that they were doing that year, but it was just so cool. It was so well filmed. It was so well programmed. I loved everything about that event. It was awesome. I would have loved to compete in that event, as an athlete.
Yeah, that was definitely a very cool one. Number 4. So I threw the ranch deadlift ladder in there. Some comments here. The deadlift ladder was cool at the ranch, but probably boring live. I somewhat can see that. It was cool in the fact that Dancer ended up lifting what he did with a broken fibula. That was nuts. And both he and Brooke finished the ladder, which was cool. I just thought that was a cool event, just going back to the ranch 10 years later. The event itself, again, watching live, it was probably better that it was at the ranch and on a live stream than it was in front of a crowd. But I thought that was kind of an interesting thing as well, as to see how far they had come in 10 years. Back then it was they were still making leaps and bounds year after year, which was pretty wild.
Oh yeah.
John, the
Crazy
muscle
to think
oh,
that it's crazy to think that that was so long ago. I mean, it felt like that happened like just a couple of years ago.
yeah, it's
7 years ago, man.
7 years in Madison,
You were in college.
which is crazy.
Yeah. Ryan was still out of college.
I was out of college for a while, for a long time, very, very much.
It's cool that only one person finished the ladder too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I think that's exactly what Dave wanted, and I feel like when you program, if you guys program for your gym at all, you'll know how this feels. But like when you program a workout and it goes exactly how you wanted it to go, it's a very satisfying feeling. And I feel like that probably happened with Castro in this event.
Yeah. And you saw that throughout. Like as I'm going through this and you're looking at it, like some of these ladders, either he didn't program enough weight, which happened in the sandbag. It happened in 2019, I think it was, with the clean for the women.
Yeah.
Or they don't get to the final, barbell, and that's kind of always a little bit of a letdown. So,
but 2009, I think 23 guys cleared the ladder.
Yeah,
at 5:05 or 5:15, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. 2017, the muscle up clean ladder, John. I had forgotten about this one. I was there at the games. That was a really cool event to watch in person.
Well, it must have not been that cool. You forgot about it.
It wasn't my top 5, but it was a very cool event to watch.
I like that. This is the heaviest weight that there's ever been in a workout, like while they're actually doing other things. It ended at 2 cleans at 350. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was cool to see who could power the longest. So like there's a couple cool things. Like Fraser kind of ran circles around everybody, but Tia power cleaned all the way through 235. And she had squat cleaned the last clean of 235, but she power cleaned that first one. So she like power cleaned the whole thing, and nobody else could do that. She was the only one. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, oh my God, like how does she? And she's a little girl, she's not this big thing. She's not like, it's not like
she's not
Amanda Barnhart.
Not Danny Spiegel trying to eat the barbells. She's this little thing that's just doing things nobody else can do. So, and I thought that was pretty darn neat. I just really like this event. Like Tyler said, he wishes he could do the overhead squat event. I would like to do this event. I'd love to.
This event would be really cool to do. Yeah.
I'd love to see where I could kind of stack up against people in this particular event. It just seems very fun to do.
Yeah. The total, Tyler. I remember that when this was announced, it was pretty cool because there had been years of people calling for, we want the total, and we finally got it.
I want the other total.
I like both of them. I loved the other total in the quarterfinals.
That should be a shirt.
Barbells. Girls who eat. But anyway, so yeah, this one, I liked how it played out. I think that was good. But this just comes from like a data nerd perspective. Like I love being able to know these numbers on the athletes. Back squat, deadlift, press.
I would 100% agree. I almost put the 1 rep max front squat from 2020 because it was finally like a concrete number. If you can do this, you're one of the strongest people in CrossFit, or you don't have to work strength anymore. This is the number that you need to hit. And like front squats, such like a brute strength, but like total Olympic strength too. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would 100% agree with you. I love knowing the exact numbers. This is how strong you need to be.
We have 14. We have between 12 and like 15 events each year. I think there should be 3 workouts a year that are measuring sticks.
I want a mile time. I want a 1 mile time trial. Either everybody goes at once or release them 2 minutes after each other. Like I would love that.
Yeah, I love it. It's for that reason. And we learned so much about the athletes this year and how crazy it was that they could do these lifts back to back to back. I mean, it was great. So yeah, it was okay visually. It wasn't like the number 5 was, I think way better visually, and the story was more cool than this. But I think from what we learned about CrossFit as a sport, I think this was better. Show me up, John. Right in the middle of talking, I can't compete with that.
This is Pogie.
Look at that guy.
He's the one who barks all the time. He wanted attention.
That's a bad dog for sure.
Wad
He's a
Zombie.
menace.
It's a family show. That gentle choke during front squats. Keep it clean there, Nick.
That face, that emoji's really good. I like that one.
I mean, that's well placed emoji, Wad Zombie.
Yeah. Not only that, like as far as emojis go, that one's really well decorated. That looks good.
I mean, Fraser almost fainted. Like he kind of almost passed out when he was doing that event.
Yeah.
And then Sammy was like, "Don't worry, it's not his first time." It's
Yeah, he passes out all the time.
All right, number 3. I have the 1 rep max snatch from 2017. This one, I don't know if you remember. So they got 2 attempts, the top 10, then it got to advance to get 2 more attempts. The women's side, Alessandra Pacelli misloaded her barbell. Everybody thought she had done 207. And then she had, and what's funny is I went back and watched it, and it might have been Chase, at least whoever was commentating was like, it looked uneven. Like the bar was.
Yeah, it goes up crooked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was obviously because there was 5 pounds less on the barbell. And then like Cassidy Lance McWhorter hit 3 PRs in a row. So like she hit 191 and ended up hitting 200, I think, for her 3rd PR. So 3 in a row.
That just means she doesn't go heavy enough in training.
Maybe, but it was still cool to watch. You had Sarah Sigmundsdottir out there. It was Kara Webb at the time competing.
She snatched 205?
203.
203, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah got 202. Sarah went for like 206.
She went for 206 and missed. And that's why Alessandra thought she was going for 207 because I think she saw 206.
202. And then Cara did 203 and 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just an awesome. I liked the pressure of you have 2 lifts the first time, but then it gives them another chance to even go heavier. Now that they've secured a top 10, I think there was another 1 rep max before there was only 2 attempts. And so it didn't give them that opportunity to kind of go for it. Like they had to play a little bit safe the first one, and then they had 1 shot to go for it. This gave them 3rd and 4th attempt. So that was a pretty cool event to watch. We'll skip John for a second. Ranch deadlift ladder 2016.
Yeah.
Any reason you have it?
This one, another measurement thing here. I think a lot of, and it was nostalgia too, because it's like we'd done that before. They were showing, old clips of the ranch back in the day. Sam Dancer doing what he did, and then Brooke doing what she did is just incredible. I will say, it probably wasn't as cool if you were there. There's no way it was, but it was just.
I think Ken's probably right. The documentary probably made that, but it's still cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll never be able to make a highlight reel for the remainder of CrossFit and not include a scene from that in it.
Yeah.
It's just too cool.
Yep.
So.
All right, back to you, John. The sandbag ladder of 2022.
Yeah, I
guess
you guys go ahead.
Most people would probably put it higher. I know we did. So why number 3?
I mean, it was very exciting. Am I down arguing it because y'all have it higher?
I just obviously you'll be able to say what your number 1 and 2 were that of the reason, but was there anything that you didn't like about it, or was it just that you liked the other 2?
I mean, when you watch the end of it makes it okay. Jacqueline Dahlstrom and her little body struggling to get it up, and she freaking does it time after time and time. Like that made it. Justin being the only one to do it like technical, and then he probably got so much further than he should have in that event. But that's what makes Justin. And he did really well in that. Ricky having more chalk than a substitute teacher on his body. Like, like a lot of things made the sandbag ladder what it was, but for about 40 minutes of it, it was very boring to watch. And then it got really, really exciting at the end of it. And I don't know, you're just picking up a bag, man. Like it was exciting, but I just don't think, like what Tyler said, that's not really a measurement of strength that I can base anything off of. It's kind of like a backyard thing, like, hey, let's see who can pick this up. Let's see who the last person is that can pick this up. And there is something cool to that, but I didn't get all the feels the way everybody else got. I thought it was cool, and y'all probably picked it because it's not a barbell, it's unique, and it is. But like, I like strength events that you can do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to go do it, or I want to recreate it. You know what I mean? Like, and
But
you
you
can't
can
do
do
that.
that.
No, you
Yeah,
can't.
you can.
I'm not about
I mean,
to
this
go
is
buy
analogous.
a 340-pound sandbag, Tyler. I'm not going to spend $500 to fill up
It's
a
not.
bag with
Sand is so
that,
cheap, John.
that I'm going to pick up one time and never do it ever again. I'm
That's
not
true.
going to
That
go
is
do
true.
that, Tyler. And then I got to go do that with 330, 320, 310, 300. No, I'm
You
not going
can't
to.
pick up a 300-pound sandbag.
I will bet you anything. If we go to a
I bet you
300-pound
can't do it.
sandbag, I will pick it up, and it'll be the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. And you're gonna have to go do whatever. Okay.
I mean,
Freaking Colton Mertens almost picked up that 300-pound sandbag. If I'll do it without even warming up.
It's called country boy strength, John. Country
you
boy
ain't got
strength.
it, John.
Anyway, I did not get all the feels that everybody else got from it. It is very cool. It's my number 3.
That's right, Alyssa.
Yeah. A bunch of heavy rocks. That's all it takes. You could do the strongman where they put the little metal loops on the stones.
Oh, the Denny Stones.
That's a little bit different because that's grip strength. And look, I got these tiny hands. Okay, my hands are not very big. They're not. And that grip stuff where you gotta hold on to something heavy, like I'm not very good at that stuff. Relative.
Just pick it up and let it go.
Yeah, I mean, if I get my arms around it, get some momentum, use my other muscles, like we're good to go.
Yeah, I do think, and we talked about this on Savon this past Friday, was like the tiebreakers just are never there, and I would.
And the tiebreaker for that event was pretty trash. Like, I don't know what you do, but like
you let them tie. That's what you do. There ain't nothing
you let them
to
tie, or the fastest to clean it, like y'all said before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not as good as the other two for me. It's still number 3.
Yeah.
It's still the 3rd best strength event of all time for me. Like, it's not.
Yeah. All right. Number 2. John and I have the squat clean pyramid from 2016. How
did this one work again?
It was.
So you got 10 cleans at 245, and then you got 8 cleans at 265.
That's right.
6 cleans at 285, and then 4 cleans at 305, and then 2 cleans at 325, and then that's it.
I remember this. Yeah.
But you had 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes.
If you didn't make it in the time cap, you got cut.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you had a certain amount of time to get through each of those stages, which I was surprised. Fikowski got stuck way far back. Like, he did not do well.
Year, man.
Yeah.
And you have to squat clean. Clean. He's got a very good power clean. When you got to squat it, and that was his first year making it, he wasn't very strong then, man. It was. Man,
that's a lot of volume on the legs by the end of it.
Well, but like Josh Bridges, if you go watch Josh Bridges in this event, he makes one of these cleans that he has no business making. I promise you.
He cleaned it on his.
That's the mashed potatoes clean. Yeah.
Both of his arms broke, and then he somehow made them unbreak and got back to here. It's probably the ugliest clean of all time, like successful clean of all time, and that includes high school football. Okay, like man, I'm really happy that he hit it. But what's fun about this?
Don't ever do that again.
Alex Anderson won this. And Matt Fraser was second, and it was just really cool for somebody to beat Fraser in this. I just wouldn't pick anybody to beat Fraser, but you know, Alex Anderson was like, I'm good at this. I'm going to show
Yeah.
you how good I am at
Yeah.
this. And Cara killed everybody in this.
She ran away with it.
Like
Easily.
killed everybody. I wasn't close. And it was
Oh
just
yeah,
pretty-
this is the one that they'll try to face her off. Like they'll do the female weight and you still can't beat her.
Yeah. Like this was two dominant people that weren't like, you know, it's not like Rich or Tia or Matt, like two dominant people in things they're good at killed this event. And then I really liked the event. It's CrossFitty. I think strength events are a bit outplayed as far as like max outs. They have to be there. They have to.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have max out events. But as far as this is it. Like, you know, I like CrossFit events better than strength events.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
because you had, you know, it was a race, but it wasn't the ladder where you had, you know, if you have one no rep, you're toast. You had to be strategic through it. It was more than just pure strength. There was some strategy on what you did on the first barbell. And yeah, the feels of when you watch Josh Bridges clean that thing, like that was wild. And to see him, I mean, it's down on his biceps. Like I don't even know how he could do that.
Yeah, he's like
and
reverse.
stand
His
up.
arms broke.
Yeah.
And then he Wolverine healed them mid clean.
Yeah, that was Bridges was underrated. I'm not sure that he was ever underrated. He was fighting for the podium, or at least we felt like he was going to quite a few years. So
Yeah. I was always bummed. He was always just out of reach.
it was always him and Spieler that you were like, come on, man.
He got second.
How could
in
you figure this
2011.
out? Yeah. But
Yeah.
like
Way back when, but you know.
but
Then he had
Spieler
to go off to war and he missed a year.
yeah, Spieler and Bridges were this every year. It's like, come on, can you guys figure out a way to get through a strength event unscathed or not hurt too bad to take advantage of the other events and be up there?
It was like that year. What was it? 2015. He hit that snatch in regionals, and that was like the most hope I had for him. And then it was
I think
like,
that was
it wasn't
this
a
year
great
as
year.
well.
What do you mean?
I think it was 2016, the snatch.
Oh, was it?
Because that was the same year that Fikowski made it his first year.
Well,
yeah.
And Fikowski did really well in that event, or the snatch from regionals.
So 2016, if I remember right, they had the snatch pyramid in regionals.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
though,
that's what I'm
it
talking
was a
about.
PR for him.
Yeah,
265 was a PR, and he hit it twice.
Yeah, Savon talked about it recently on a show with Josh.
Yeah. Tyler, clean and jerk ladder 2013. So
nostalgia starts to play into this. 2013 was the year that I was like, I want to be good at CrossFit. 2012, I started doing CrossFit. I was inspired, but
definitely true.
But 2013 really turned me on to it. And there was something so cool about the gravitas of like, they had all those platforms out on that field and you slowly just went through and watched people drop off. Now, visually now we would probably hate it because everybody was kind of cleaning at the same moment, but it was so cool to see like who missed. And then at the end of it, it was like Lucas Parker, Rich Froning, and
Khalifa.
Well,
Khalifa.
Lucas was done by then, so it was just Rich and
it was Rich and
then it was Rich and Khalifa. Lucas Parker and Richard Bartow were done, but they were ahead.
Yeah, and so it was so amazing to watch that. It was in the middle of the day. It was hot. And so there's
jerks were like some of the trashiest jerks I've ever seen in my life. Just man push pressed it.
And that was the first time too. It was like they had started to play with that sort of like not interval style weightlifting, but like a ladder. And it was a new thing that we were still trying to figure out how to write CrossFit workouts back then a little bit. And this was a new sort of strength format. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And so it was like, after that, you would see like, you would come in the gym and people would have like processions of like 8 barbells. And you were like, dude, why the did you get this many barbells out? And it's like, it's really fun to do until you have to clean it up.
Put them away.
No, you need a crew. You need a crew for a ladder.
Yeah. So Yeah, that's a lot of it for me. Mike McGoldrick was there that year. Matt what's his name? The
Chan.
firefighter. Matt Chan was still there. Like, this was the changing of the guard year, where it was like we saw the last of the old guys and the first of the new guys. So it was just, there was a lot in that event for me.
They gave him like 90 seconds to do this too. Like they gave him a ton of
Yeah.
time. And
I mean, Rich tried 4 times to clean his last clean.
yeah. And I remember like part of it when you're watching, you see him turn around and just watch Khalipa behind him lifting. Like, you know, it was like, are you able to do this? Are you going to follow me? Like, because you had so much time, you could actually kind of sit there and watch their reactions to the lifts.
Watch Khalipa do god awful jerks like 3 times in a row. It's like, there's no way you can get that overhead, and then he did. I wonder.
There's also, I think it was Ben Smith's first catch and bounce jerk that he does.
Yes, that was so cool. And I remember practicing that so much after watching that. It was like, I was like, that's so amazing. Like, boom, boom. But it's weird. Do you think that that's solely because Rich was that way? Like, he would watch people because then we had that in the overhead squat workout, that sit and stare and kind of taunt dudes that you were going against. Like, we don't really see that anymore. Do you think that's just him, or do you think that was the type of athletes that they were back in the day, the sort of community they had then?
I think it's you didn't see anybody doing that but Rich. So like I think it's who's winning, because like Fraser would do that. Fraser would finish the workout, sit on the ice bucket, and wait for you to be done. You know what I mean? And when Medeiros is 5th and everything, he's not finishing first.
He doesn't have time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not looking to see what everybody's doing. He's pacing perfectly.
Right.
Right. And so like, I think it's just a product of who's winning at the time.
How Rich competed. Yeah, because his thing was, I need to get right out ahead of you and watch you. Yeah.
Well, I think if Ricky were to win the games, I think we'd see that from Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would see that from Roman if they weren't like chasing people and went in in the driver's seat. But the only problem I have with this event is that like it made it look like Rich was the winner because he's the last one lifting because they went out by order.
Yeah.
That's how they used to do things. And like Asia Barto and Lucas Parker both beat him. He didn't, and also the numbers weren't very good. Like, you got to think, Rich failed to clean and jerk 345. Right? I think he failed to clean. He failed to clean 345.
Yeah, I think so.
He couldn't stand it up. He got under it and then
he couldn't stand up 345. That's not very much weight. When you're the fittest man in the world, you're Rich freaking Froning. And I know he got stronger. But when 345, that's what wins the event. It's just, it kind of downplays it for me because it's not that impressive.
What was the event right before it?
The strength event but previous?
No, the actual event they did before this workout.
I don't remember.
That's a hard.
Yeah.
Call. You gonna effort it, or you want me to?
I'll find it.
Well, I mean, you look at the
year previous, even Neil Maggs cleaned 365.
Yeah.
And he won the clean liner with 365. And so I'm talking about the year previous. It's when have we ever seen strength go down? Yeah, it's just
what Neil Maggs doesn't qualify.
Well, yeah. But
Naughty Nancy, which is not a leg forgiving workout, nor a jerk forgiving workout.
345, you should be able to do more than that.
I'm just trying to give him a little bit of leniency.
The fittest man in the world.
And then they did the legless, the thrusters and rope climbs the night before, so their legs were smoked.
Yeah, they used their legs a lot on legless.
On the thrusters, you're doing like over
21, 15, 9 ain't that
27,
much.
27,
21, 15, 9 ain't that much on your legs. They're the fittest people in the world, Tyler. They're not you.
100 overhead squats is not going to make you sore.
Not sore enough to not stand up with 345.
All right.
What was interesting was you look at the CrossFit total and like the what do you got?
I'm kicking my dogs out.
All right. When you look
He's just
at
kicking his dogs.
when you look at the CrossFit total in 2007 and then the 2018 to 2020, like obviously 2020 only had 5 comparison points, but the men for the most part hasn't really changed on the total from the winter to 2020. So 13 years, the total didn't really change that much. It did improve slightly to 2018. Right. The women though, I can't remember who won, but she finished like 540 some odd pounds as the total. And then like Tia Brooke just obliterated it in 2020. So the women have definitely made this huge stride over time. The guys have gotten stronger from a technical standpoint, but I don't think from a brute strength, it's really changed. Like they've gotten better learning the Olympic lifts, but just doing deadlifts or squats, like it really hasn't changed that much.
Well, Jeanette and I talk about it culturally like we talk about it all the time about we've changed the way culturally how women feel and think about strength and what we actually think that the female human body is capable of. It's capable of way more than we thought. And I still think we have a little while to go before we really know. I still think like broad culturally speaking, like, yeah, we're more okay with women being strong now than we were, in 2013 when it was still really weird to see a jacked woman. But I think, as the population increases of women who want to be stronger, like we're just going to keep seeing stronger and stronger women.
Yeah. I think you see it with the percentages that we keep putting up there compared to the men. It just keeps getting the need to go up to 70% or 75% at some point. Like, where does that stop, right? Like how close could you get? And I think that's what we'll see here in a little bit.
I can tell you how close we'll get. You want to know how?
Tell me.
So for the men, I just take this off of the Olympics. So if you take the 89 kilo guy in the Olympics, the guy who wins for 89 kilos, it's right around 500 pounds on the clean and jerk. So for men, it's 100 pounds less. Men are usually just right at 100 pounds less on the clean and jerk and the snatch of what the best ever is. What's crazy is that equals 80%, which is pretty cool. So if you take just the best in the world, and then if you take the same for women, call it at the 150 pound class, okay? Whatever class is around 150, you see what the best in the world can do on the clean and jerk and the snatch. You take 80%. That's what the women equivalent will be for CrossFit, right? And that's what you could see. I'm pretty sure we're there with Tia. But
do you think? I mean, Tia at the 80%. I mean, she's not at 80% when you look at the front squat, which, granted, Griffin was the one that threw that one off. But
he's comparing it. Lifting. So he's not going male to female. He's talking about when you're comparing it to weightlifter women to CrossFit women, it's at 80%.
Got it.
Yeah. Male to female, though, I mean, like, to me, I've always thought it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about a deadlift, we might be able to push it up to, whatever our percentage body weight is. So
I don't think you can do a percentage on static lifts. I think it's just for like programming a workout, you just call it 70, 75 and you're fine. That's what the workout's going to be. But for like max outs, like what you should be, right. Deadlift is such a weird one where some people can just deadlift way more than they can squat. Static lifts, I don't think you can do a set percentage. Women should be what men should be. Alex Kazan will skew it for the bench press because Alex Kazan can out bench press some of the men. Okay. Like static lifts, I don't think you can. Olympic lifts, you can almost perfectly at 80%.
I'm just talking about for Metcons. I mean, like if you're going to create standards, it's like I think
Sure.
you could up that percentage for the women for anything that's lower body dominant, but I think for upper body dominant, I think it might be stuck around 65 to 70%. Like I just don't think they're ever going to be. They just don't carry the mass. They're not built the same that way, and that's okay. It's just we actually like TTT did a whole podcast on this. Like we're not figuring out what that is. We're not talking about it anymore. We're just like 70%. It's like, well, does that make sense?
Man, Nick throwing out some can Kazan beat out bench John, man. No. John, that's me.
Did she outbench you, Tyler?
No.
There we go. There we go. She can outbench Brian though.
I'm a masters athlete.
Friend, I wasn't talking about you.
Yeah, she can outbench me too.
Much more than that, Kenneth.
All right. Number one, it's going to be a little anticlimactic. Tyler and I both have the sandbag ladder.
2019 clean. All right.
I did like that one. That was on my list of considerations. I have a reason why I didn't put it on there.
Yeah, it's not even on any of y'all's list.
No. So I like the sandbag ladder because it changed it up. It was different. And it was I get all the points that John makes of why it wasn't number one for him.
Bye, John.
See ya. So no, I just liked the idea of it was different. It challenged the athletes. They probably weren't ready for something like that. It was, hey, let's see how you can adapt to this in a strength-based workout. We've always done adapt to something new, and it's generally been gymnastics based. And this one was, let's throw a max lift in there. Welcome back, John. I thought you got mad at me for, not having the 1 rep max clean on my list.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
So, yeah, that was, I just like the uniqueness of it. I think Dahlstrom obviously stole the show. But yeah, I like seeing something different after 14 years of games strength events that
snatch, clean and jerk.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it was something different. It makes me hope that we see something cool next year or this year.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that. Don't do more strongman events. There's a bunch of different strongman events they can do. I mean, I think you should still have like max outs but like just another event be a, let's see who can hold this freaking bag the longest or carry it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all types of strongman events you can do.
Oh,
yeah.
And they're so functional. Like strongman has the most functional movements. Like I think it was Alyssa was saying, like, come pick rocks up at my house. It's like, that's why I related to it. Like you live in central Kentucky, you're going to move rocks all day long. That's all we have is rocks. And it's like, I grew up lifting heavy rocks. And so sandbag, I love the sandbag ladder for that reason. Spin is because it's like, it finally marked as like, okay, it's okay for us to do something new. I was so happy to not see a barbell. And John, I disagree with you. I guess maybe there's a bit of it because I was there. So I never felt bored. It was long enough. The break was long enough that you could sit there and you would chat. Like I was sitting there with Amanda Hari and some other folks, and we were like, who do you think will get it in this heat? Who do you think's going to get it? And it was enough.
Hey, I lived in Kentucky for a while, girl. Just letting you know, Eastern Kentucky too. I lived in hillbilly world.
I skipped it. I went from Indiana down to Tennessee. I just bypassed it.
That's the no man's land. I was there, and so I don't think I've screamed that loud at any sporting event ever. Is when I was when like Ricky and them.
For, Tyler?
Roman, Ricky,
Alexis.
Justin, Brent, Alexis, Jacqueline. It was so crazy watching them overcome, and it was that it never felt like they were battling each other. I mean, there was even that moment where Brent missed it, and he was like, "Go ahead, like I can't get it." It was man versus this.
I wish
just
Brent would have got that
blob.
so bad. That last.
I
tell you what, if Brent would have got the last sandbag, and we could have saw that moment instead of a 4-way tie. I might have put it up there.
Right.
So it's
It,
Brent's
it
fault.
was it was just so cool that they were battling the bag. They weren't battling each other. They were just and Ricky had terrible form on it. He looked like he didn't look as smooth as everybody else, and he just still battled it up. And then same thing with Justin had an entirely different technique from everyone, and he still did really well. And then Jacqueline, like, how long can you just sit and hold your breath and battle a sandbag? So
Alyssa said it was exciting because she didn't know who was going to win versus like a max snatch event. I don't know if you didn't know who was going to win. Like, I think everybody knew, especially after the first couple lifts, that Guy and Danny were so far ahead of everybody. But beyond that, you didn't know who was going to, you didn't know for sure who was going to do well and who didn't.
yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. Like we've seen most of these people on their Olympic lifts and have a pretty good idea of where they'll finish. And so this was different from that standpoint.
Actually, Alexis let me down in this one. I remember picking her in her heat, and she didn't do very well.
I wish Colton would have done a little bit better. He was almost squat cleaning the sandbag. So
I know.
If he somehow could have like made that work for him and like he just could get under it, like it would have been really fun. Like he got up to like 310 or 320 or something like that. It would have been really, really, really fun.
Was it Hopper that took 45 seconds on one and still didn't make it?
Yeah.
That was
another
Cole
pick.
Sager took 45 seconds on every single one.
And he kept doing it. And he kept going.
I was like, there's no way Hopper doesn't kill this workout. He's a big athlete. His arms are freakishly long. He has big hands. And then he didn't do that well. And I was like, damn it.
What are you talking about? He got fourth.
After all those ties, though, like he didn't win it. And I was like, I wanted him to like just dominate everybody on that event. I thought he had the capacity.
Yeah. I think what was also cool is how they got just so sore after it. Like they were not used to that type of soreness of lifting a sandbag for max and being under tension for so long. Like I remember hearing so many of them say like the next day, like they were hurting.
Yeah. When you lift a 350-pound barbell, you're not with it that long.
Yeah. Yeah. The time under tension was so much longer.
Unless you're
That's
Dave
CNS
Castro in a
fatigue.
deadlift.
Yeah.
Right. Nice call, John. That's good.
Mm-hmm. And the 1 rep max clean from 2019. What made you? It's got to be Frazier and
Yeah,
Patrick.
it's simply a Frazier thing, man. I mean, y'all both know I'm a Frazier guy. And like this was probably the worst year of all of his years. Like up to this point, like he had a 2014 like Rich Froning. Rich Froning 2014 was terrible. But I mean, instead of walking, or like up until he turned it on, I'm saying like it just wasn't going good for him. But instead of walking, it's a sandbag that falls out of his backpack through no fault of his own. Gets called a cheater all throughout the internet for running 100 meters without one of these sandbags.
There's no way he would have done as well with that sandbag.
And then he gets docked a minute. So he went from like 6th to 19th. Like it's crazy how far he got docked for that. And like, no, he's never in like that year. And Tyler might feel differently because he's trained think tank. You can tell me feel differently, Tyler. It should not have been close. And it was almost geared for Matt to lose. Like the way it was so many weird things were happening. And then like the way everybody that was good got cut except Noah and BKG, like the top 3. And then it was a bunch of people who probably shouldn't have been there that got there because of the 6 events, 7, that were there before. Had the max clean event been before the cuts on the top 20, yeah. I think half of that field changes. And they would middle Noah on almost all of the events. They would middle Noah.
No, I don't disagree. I delete 2019 and 2020 from my mind. It's just there's so much wrong with those seasons.
They're still there. You just got to know what you're talking about. You're talking about a different games. They're still there, but you got to talk about a different games.
Yeah.
I'll never take away Noah's second place, but we all know that second place is in 2019. You know, it's fine. It's just, it is what it is. But the whole time, everything has gone against Matt. Like, I don't like, he couldn't have been dealt a worse hand than he was in 2019. And then the clean event, which, I mean, I get he's kind of the only strong one left. I mean, Scott's there, but everybody lifted way more than I think anybody would have thought. Like, Noah hit 365, and he wasn't very strong back then. I know he's gotten stronger since, but I didn't expect him to hit that. BKG hit 365. Munweiler hit 370. Panchik hit 375. And then, like, you know, that look y'all talk about, like, Rich just looks at Khalifa and you get goosebumps. Well, Fraser's doing the same thing with Scott Panchik. Scott Panchik is sitting on the bench looking scared because he doesn't want to touch 380. He's like, gosh, I really don't want to touch.
Probably because his knee was an inch from exploding.
I heard him say this. He was like, man, I really don't even want that 380 to be touched in my hand. And then Fraser's just, I mean, come bring it. Like, it doesn't matter. And then he hit it. The whole crowd got super loud. It gave me goosebumps watching him. I like seeing dominant people be dominant in things that they are really, really good at. And I was very happy for Matt in that moment, because through no fault of his own, it was like the games was against him that year until after the 1 rep max clean.
It was like kind of like when you think about the Open, right? And you have all these people in there, and the point system was so messed up that, like, you weren't going to get much advantage doing well in first cut, second cut, and like,
which you should have. Those are CrossFit events,
right?
And like, they're a little bit like, you got to be really good to be good at those events. The first cut event, to win that, for that event to not be worth the same amount as a sprint is ridiculous. Like, just straight up ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you could take 30th and just be 30 points behind, I think is what it was. Like, there was no difference. Like, it just didn't matter, right? Versus you do shitty, take 30th and second cut, you get less, you know, it's a bigger gap. So that whole thing, like, the way the order of everything was, and that was a huge discussion point, was the way that the order of events were, like, it changed who made it. And you see that in the top 10, you're like, those are not top 10 athletes.
And then you also had a battle with Tia and Barnhart too. When Barnhart's power clean in 225 and it looks like 135, the crowd audibly gasped.
Yeah.
So, like, it's rare when you have a battle for the women and the men both together in a strength event. Like Danny Spiegel, we all knew she was going to win. You know what I mean? There was a battle with Dee in the sandbag ladder. I mean, we had 4 guys in the last sandbag. So it was very exciting on the men's part. Danny Spiegel, we just watched her just eat the sandbag. I'm going to keep on referencing stuff like that. I like doing that.
This is interesting to think about. And I never really thought about it like this, because 2019 and we'll throw out 2020 entirely. I mean, it was a salvage job, right? But 2019, the wheels started to get really wobbly as far as like programming and like style of like how we were doing things. Do you think that is because of, like, I don't want to say Dave's boredom, but like sometimes you perfected something and now you're starting to touch it too much. Like, you're putting accents on it you don't need to. You had a thing that worked. You know what I mean? Or do you think it was for other reasons?
I think if there was 40 men and 40 women in 2019, it would be one of the better games that we've had. Yeah. I think the reason it's so jacked up is because of how it was.
The countries.
And like, Dave was operating with his hands tied behind his back. And I think he did the best job he could. Same with 2020. You don't want to count 2020 because it's 5 people. I get it. But 2019, if it's 40 men and 40 women, and let's say they cut by the end of Saturday, they cut to 20. Kind of like what they do now. Like what they did now, they let them do 9 events, and then they cut 10 people, then they cut one more time to 20, right? And then the last 20 do the last day, or last 2 days, however they do it. But it was 10 events, and then they cut to 20. So they say they do that in 2019. I think it's one of the better games that we have. Yes, Matt still probably wins comfortably, but just seeing the performances, I think it would be much more lauded than it is now, just because of how it was.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It was, if you would have put the top 20 athletes that we think were top 20 in 2019, the one rep max clean would have been easily in the top 5, probably top 3 for sure. Because he would have thrown some other of those just super strong guys in there that you didn't get that opportunity. So it made me think about what might be on tap for this year and what I would kind of like. I mean, I hope there's something that's not another, no barbell again. So I don't know what that looks like. I think there's so many options with strongman that they could do.
I'd like a barbell max out event, but then there also is some strongman
A brute strength,
implement
Yeah.
like funky thing. How cool it'd be to strap everybody to a truck and let's see who pulls it the fastest. Like just something freaking random.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Todd here has Gwen 15, 12, 9 of unbroken clean and jerks for load.
I don't think they can do that because it would be very, very hard to keep track of. That's hard to commentate on.
Right. Yeah. And then you're going to do it by volume. That's I get what you're trying to go at, but we'd also see people screw it up on rep 12 and
yeah. I mean, I wondered.
And then you run into judge decisions. The no rep. Did you hear the no rep? His elbows aren't through enough. It's just there's a lot of stuff that could go weird.
Wrong there, yeah.
Truck pull, Atlas stones, similar.
It'd be cool to do a heat system with Atlas stones, like the clean and jerk, like a speed ladders. You know how they eliminate in the top 20.
Yeah. Strongman has that. Where I think they did it at Rogue, where it's they have different heights. They have different heights and different weights of the stone, and then they have to get up, as far as they can down and as fast as they can. So it gets more and more difficult each time.
I don't think you should ever use stones, by the way, actual stones for CrossFit. No. I think it should always be sand.
Or the D balls. I don't know how heavy the D balls can get, but
they can probably make them heavy as they want to make them.
Have you all ever done D ball holds versus sandbag holds?
They're
hard. Way harder. They're way harder.
Yeah.
I did a 150 2 or 3 weekends ago because we dropped in a gym and they didn't have regular sandbags and they only had a D ball. I could barely hold the thing and I can sit for 2 minutes with a 150 no problem. I was like, what is happening?
No, I don't think holds are harder. I think cleans are harder.
Yeah. Especially if you start sweating, and I'm a sweaty mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those Mondo balls get slippery.
Thank you for that details, Tyler.
Barry, thanks for joining. He has a bad read on John. He looks thrilled to be here. I think it was sarcastic.
I am thrilled to be here.
We're having a good time, Barry. Do you think we'll ever see a bench press 1 rep max?
Well, if the other total has bench press in it, it's a bench press, overhead squat, and a clean. I would love to see the other total in the CrossFit Games. I don't know how you would work it, but I actually save it for the year that I make it, because that's the year that I would want yours. It to be there. Yeah.
There are freaks in the deadlift. There are freaks in the bench press too. There are people who are just you're just really good at it. I mean, me alone, I'm benefited by the fact that my arms are really short. I don't think I'm actually as strong as I can bench press, but I don't have to go far, so I'm pretty good at bench press. So
I think if you did bench press a lot in football, it's beneficial. Not everybody played football.
Right. I mean, that's all you do is press. You come off the line and you do a press. But I remember, you probably remember this during the team series. They did a 3 rep max bench press, I think, because Lauren Fisher, Josh Bridges, Rich Froning, and somebody else was on a team together.
I know what you're talking about. Briggs.
A 3 rep would be cool.
They had a 3-rep max at Crash. That was one of the events.
Yep.
That was the event that they had 4 separate people. You chose which guy you wanted to do what, and I was our bench presser.
Because I think you can fake. You can't fake it, but like you can kind of get away with 1 rep. But like 3 is really like you're really testing how strong you are in 3. I think one you can kind of get away with in some ways. So
Yeah,
depends how much you can pop it.
yeah. Oh, I'm pro sternum crush. Just launch that sucker. Break it if you have to.
Get the bounce.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, our top 5. So that was interesting. If you want to go check out the barbell spin, I have an article out there. You can go check out all of the strong strength events. I saw some comments on there about strongman sphere. I mean, there's
really
plenty.
There's
plenty of events that include a strength bias, but they were not a strength event.
Yeah.
Right. Last year's what was it? The yoke and the 3 barbells.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but
back 9. I mean,
back
that's
9.
a strength
Back
event.
9.
Right. You had to be
I
strong.
thought of
right?
that event.
Yeah. Didn't include it because there was no you couldn't go beyond, right? There was no progression in weight or anything like that. It was just you just had to be strong to finish.
Do what was prescribed. Yeah.
Wasn't super exciting either. Like nothing crazy happened. I out-loaded kind of 1 comfortably, but it wasn't it just wasn't a super memorable event.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, it's been a fairly quiet week, I think, other than getting kind of the official 4-year sanction for Angelique Conaway out of Africa on the team side. It's been fairly quiet.
You think because we haven't heard anything that probably means somebody else has popped?
I think it means everybody is clean and we are doing great.
Cleanest sport that exists.
Jake Douglas, you have made it through.
I don't know if we're out there. We're out there yet. I have lobbed a question out to CrossFit to find out if they get a status update to see if they would share if they do have anything under appeal. So,
I don't want that to happen. I think it's good for Guy that he missed the games this year. If freaking Kaike pops and Guy gets in on backfill, I'm gonna be so against Guy this year, and I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it. I don't know. I could understand, but I would still be mad that I missed. And I don't know that I would. I think I would take self-punishment. Like when was it Lazar or Luca that didn't go? Yeah, it's like no, I kind of deserve to be in the shed. Yeah,
I think he'd take it. I think he'd take it.
He'd take it. I think he would, but it just I don't think I would.
Yeah,
it's hard to say until you put yourself in that position.
Right.
I get it. You got sponsors. You got obligations.
Yeah. So I hope we don't see any more. It would just be better for the sport if we don't. But it's after seeing how many came in last year, we still have a good month before we're out of the woods.
Probably.
So
I would love it if Hiller found out first and started talking about people. It'd just be poetic.
What, Hiller started talking about people?
Yeah, start talking about people popping. Just leak it before it's ready to come out. It would just be cool.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with Michelle. I mean, to some degree, right? She got ahead of the story before CrossFit could announce it.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see more of that. Is they're aware of it and they'll start sharing before kind of just going dark. They kind of trying to share their side of the story versus just kind of hiding
the narrative. Yeah. Control the narrative.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. That's it. We'll see you next week.
Yep. See you.
Bye-bye.